welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how I transform this piece of fabric. This was actually a baby curtain. I fell in love with the pattern because it had these raspberries and it was the cutest, and I was like, oh my god, I definitely have to make a milkmaid dress out of this. And this is what we did. Oh my god, so cute. So yeah, I'm just going to show you how I made this. Also, if you like my videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so you get a notification every time I post something new. And now, let's get down to business. Are you ready? Let's get started. So these are the baby bed sheets that we are going to transform. As you can see, it's not much. I don't know if it's gonna be enough, but we're gonna try. And if you're watching this, then it worked out. So yeah, that's what we have. 2 times, and that's it. This fabric is actually really transparent, so I'm going to use a cheap lining. It's also a curtain. I paid like 3 euros for this. We can put this under and it's not transparent anymore. To use as much fabric as possible, I'm going to start cutting all the edge because this beautiful ruffle is going to be really useful. So the first step is basically cutting all the seams that are there and see how much fabrics we have. Whoa, alright, so now we have our fabric, like 1 kilometer of ruffle that we're gonna use later. And now we can start with the skirt. I actually want to make a circle skirt, but I don't have enough fabric for that, so I'm going to make 2 semicircles and then sew them together. For that, I'm going to take the fabric, fold it in half once, just like this. So if we have our fabric folded in half like a rectangle, kind of, or a square, this is gonna be the waist, and that's the measure of our waist divided by P, which is 3/14. And then we're going to need the length of the skirt that we want. So we need the length and we need the waist. In my case, I want the skirt to start here, and that's 72. And the length I want for my skirt is like over the knee, 50 centimeters. So my first measure is 23. My second measure is 50. That's actually a bit longer than what I actually want, but it's fine because we always leave like 2 centimeters for sewing allowance. I'm going to fold the fabric in a way that I'm using as not much fabric as possible. And now we're going to take one of the corners, measure 23, and again, and again. And we're going to make this semicircle here. And from here you measure the length that you want. Well, I'm gonna put 44 now because I don't have much fabric. Here. And again, trace the whole line. Wow, you don't see anything, but there's a line over there and over there. And now we're gonna cut it. We're going to do this also with the other piece of the fabric and with the lining. So we will have in the end 4 pieces. I'm going to show you again in the lining so you see it a bit better. It's really important that you measure your waistline, and from the waistline, that's where you have to measure the length, not from up here. There you go. You see this line here and this line here. Since I'm measuring 1 to 2 centimeters bigger, I'm just going to cut over the line. If you didn't count with the sewing allowance, then just cut like 2 centimeters bigger than you marked. And now that we have our cut pieces, open them, take both pieces of the skirt, and we're going to sew them together. So put the right side against the right side and align the edges and the other side. So now we're going to sew this line with the machine and also this line, first with a zigzag stitch all along the edge and then with a normal stitch. We're going to do the same with the lining. First I'm going to make a zigzag stitch and then a normal stitch. Now I'm going to sew the 2 ruffles together. So I'm going to take the edges and put the right side against the right side and just sew it again with the zigzag stitch and with the normal stitch. And now we will have just one big ruffle, a circle. Now comes the funny part. We're gonna try to sew the ruffle, and honestly I have no clue how I'm gonna do this. So I'm just going to take the normal stitch, a straight line, the biggest width and the lowest tension, and we're just gonna sew 2 straight lines because this is divided in half. So this half is gonna be 1 line and this half is gonna be 1 line. Now it's time to put the ruffle. To make it a bit easier, we're going to take the right side of the skirt, fold it in half, and now we're going to mark this side here, like a quarter of the skirt. Open it, and now we're going to do the same with our ruffle. Mark the quarters. And now what we are going to do is align the two halves of the skirt with the two halves of the ruffle. So that's really easy because we have the seam. Take the right side against the right side, put the edge against the edge, and we're going to pin it in place. Now make sure that everything's well aligned. And now we have the quarters. So do the same. Take the quarter that we marked, pin them together, and we just go on aligning the ruffle and the skirt. Now we're going to take each of the quarters. We want to evenly distribute the ruffle, stretch or pull the fabric until it has the length that you need, and now pin the whole edge. There we go. And now we are going to sew a zigzag stitch all along the edge, and then also a normal stitch. And we're going to do this with all 4 quarters. If you have a lining, all we're going to do here is seam the edge. So take the wrong side and fold it once toward the inside, fold it twice, you pin it together, and we're going to sew it like this all along the edge. And ta-da! Oh my god, look at this cuteness. For now, we're gonna leave it like this and start with the top. But first of all, let me explain you the measurements. You are supposed to have a square of fabric. I don't have a square, but I have a piece like this, so I'm going to manage with that. But you're supposed to have a square of fabric folded in half, like that. You're going to need the length that you want for your top. In my case, 24 centimeters because I want it to be 22, but I put 2 for sewing allowance. And this is half of your waist. If my top goes until here, I'm going to take this measure and divide it by 2. In my case, it's 82 divided by 2, 41 centimeters. Here, we are going to leave 1,5 centimeters free without anything. And here we are going to draw the shape of a bra. If you wanted to cover the whole back, just leave it like that. I want the back to go a bit down like this. It's gonna go a bit more like this, but you can adapt this later. So I'm going to start measuring in this corner here, 40 centimeters here, and mark it. So I'm going to mark 25 just to be sure. Again, 25 until I can no more, and then it will go down. Like we said before, we're going to leave here 1.5 centimeters. And now we're going to draw the shape of a bra. Pin together so it doesn't move. And we're also going to cut a bit bigger than we have marked. I'm going to cut exactly the same piece for the lining. And for that, fold the fabric in half again. Put this piece there, pin it, and cut exactly the same shape. Take the right side of the lining and put the right side of your fabric on it. And now work with these 2 pieces like they are one. Now remember when we cut the skirt, we had this part here and we didn't throw it away because we'd never throw something away. That's what I'm going to use for the cups. Exactly the same. I'm just gonna use these 2 pieces like they are only one. First of all, we're going to take the upper part here and pull the edge once inside like this, leaving enough space to pass a thread or an elastic to pin it in place all along the edge. And now we're going to sew this line with the machine. So like we did with the ruffle of the skirt, we're just gonna sew a straight line here with the longest stitch and the lowest tension possible and gather it together until it fits in this shape we made here. Finally, I know it's called cap and not booby. Now pull the thread and gather the fabric until it has more or less this size. Now comes what I think is the most difficult part, and that's putting the cups together with the top. For that, take the right side and the right side. So taking into account that this is going to be hemmed afterwards, put this cup here and pin it in place, obviously. And the same with the other part. There we go. And now we just have to sew together the rest and distribute the ruffle evenly. And now sew this line with the machine with a normal stitch and with the zigzag stitch because we want this to stay in place. Ooh la la! I'm going to take some ribbon or anything you want to use and pass this through the line that we saw on the top. Take this part over here in the middle to pass the rope or ribbon through it. Now pull it until it's really on the edge, like this. And I'm going to make a normal stitch here so it stays in place, and afterwards burn the edge. It's not the best thing to do, but this will prevent this from breaking. There we go. The middle part we're going to leave it open. And of course we're going to do the same in the other side. Now we're going to make this part look more beautiful. So put the threads outside, make sure you leave them outside, otherwise the ribbon's going to be in the inside part and we don't want that. And we're going to sew this inner part together. I'm going to sew this by hand. And you know, there's so much thread going on here. I'm just going to cut the threads and burn the edge. If you are alone doing this and you're underage, please do this with your parents or ask for help. Now we're going to take the edge, fold it once, fold it twice, pin it in place, and like this all along the edge. Do the same on the other side. Take our skirt again, and now we're going to sew again a normal stitch with the highest length possible, like the biggest stitch possible, to gather it just like we did with the ruffle. And now close this, sew the right side against the right side, align the edges. And we're gonna sew a zigzag stitch and a normal stitch. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. Now we're going to do the same we did with the skirt. I'll take the right side to mark the sides here and also the center front here. Now we're going to put the skirt and the top together. Take your skirt, the wrong side, this is the waistline, the right side of the top, and put it inside, like here. And we're going to align the two sides, the front and the back, in these 4 quarters that we marked before. So take the first quarter, align the seams really well, put a pin there. Now we're going to do the other side, and the same with the 2 sides. And now we have to gather this. So basically I'm going to take a bit of the thread that we sewed before, pull it, and gather this quarter until it has the same size of the top, like this. And now we can pin this part. So we have 1 quarter. Let's go to the second one. Do this with all 4 quarters, and once we are done, we are going to sew all around the skirt with a zigzag stitch and then a normal stitch about this line. And I have just decided that I want to use a zipper in the back. Measure the zipper that I'm going to use. I have no clue how to properly put a zipper, so I think I'm going to start with the bottom. Put this here so you don't see from the outside. I'm gonna pin it in place. Yeah, just like that. And I'm basically going to sew it here first with a normal stitch. Now I'm going to open the zipper and flip it like this. Put right side against right side. It's easier if you flip it over like this. And align here and pin it. And do the same on the other side. Flip this how we can and align the edge here. Pin it in place. You wanna play? Do you wanna play, Muffinette? Good, and now we are going to sew that with the machine. Now this part here, fold it inside and sew a straight line here. Here and here. So we just finished the main dress, and now I'm just going to use leftover fabrics to do these balloon sleeves. I don't know how you call them. I saw that I have some pieces of fabric, so we have to make the sleeves with this. Okay, we have to cut 2 pieces with the same size. So I'm going to cut first the small piece because it's easier to manage. I'm going to fold this in half just to make sure I get the curve centered. And I need the bottom part to be this size. Oh, this is actually perfect. And now take the other piece of fabric and cut the same shape. Don't throw this away, we're gonna use this to make a belt. So first of all, take the right side of the sleeve and the right side of this fabric, and we're going to sew the edge together. Put the right side against the right side, pin it in place, and so all along the line. Now I just made a normal stitch, and I'm also going to make a zigzag stitch all along this edge, and also on the top part where the curve is, all along the edge. And well, you know that if your fabric breaks a lot, I'm always burning it. Alright, now we need 2 pieces of elastic. One a bit thicker and one a bit thinner. The thicker is for this part here, and the thinner is for this part here, depending on where you want your sleeve to finish. My sleeve is gonna be around here, so I took a piece of elastic with this measure and another piece of elastic of this size. Of course, you will need 2 of this one and 2 of the other one, since we have 2 sleeves. We have just sewn a zigzag stitch here. Make sure you leave it folded like it was, right side against right side. Take the piece of elastic and sew a line around here. Normal stitch all along the piece, making sure the space between both seams is enough for the elastic to come through. We are going to take our thin elastic and a small pin or needle and pass the elastic through. Pull it really slowly, holding both sides of the elastic. Pull the fabric here until this is close to the edge, and now we're going to sew a normal stitch here to fix the elastic in place. And now we're going to do the same with the other side. Now we're going to do the other side of the sleeve. Take the wrong side, fold that edge inside. Fold it inside one more time, leaving enough space for the other elastic to come through. Do this all along the other edge of the sleeve. And now sew this as close to this edge as possible and pass the elastic through. And now we're going to do the same we did before. To hold both edges and sew them to the edge of the sleeve several times with a normal stitch so it stays in place. This is the right side. Put right side against right side. And we are going to sew from the bottom of the ruffle until the beginning of the elastic. So a zigzag stitch and a normal stitch. And we're going to sew this to the bodies. Put the sleeves on and pin the sleeves where you want them to be. There and here. Make sure it fits when you close the dress. And now pin the other side. I'm going to just put a mark, and we're going to use this side to make it symmetrical. We have marked where we want the sleeves to be. And now fold the dress in half and align from the zipper to the bra. And this is the part we marked, so I'm just going to take the other side and put a pin exactly on the same spot. The same with this part here. Align the fabrics. This is the side that we marked, so we're going to mark the same spot in the other side. Take the sleeve, put the right side of the dress and the right side of the sleeve centered here, and we're going to pin this in place. Perfect. And now we are going to sew this with a zigzag stitch and a normal stitch. Now, since this part is really fluffy, I'm going to make a waistband using the leftover fabrics that I have. I do have this long piece of fabric. I'm going to fold it in half to align the edge all along the piece, and I'm going to make the front part a bit thicker. I'm trying to make a straight line. Open the waistband, sew a zigzag stitch all along the edge. And now we're going to take the wrong side, take the edge and fold it once, fold it twice, pin it in place all along the edge in all the edges. And then we're going to sew that line with the machine, and we will be done. Are you ready for the grand reveal? That was all for today's tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You know how this works. If you have any questions, comments or requests, hit me up in the comments below or in my Instagram, LilMonsterDIY. And if you like the videos, don't forget to hit the bell button so you know every time I post a new one. Thank you very much for the support. I love you guys so much. You are the cutest thing ever. And well, that's it for today. See you in the next video. Bye bye. First of all, ignore my wet hair. I just woke up because I have a really busy life. Don't ask. And we are going to... I don't see what I'm doing.
I'm gonna water so many of these plants. I hope I don't get sued for that.